Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidates interviews, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Miriam Simmons, and I would like to introduce Marilyn Townsend, running for Dane County Circuit Court Judge in Branch 1. As we begin, I'd like you to give an opening statement as to your educational, vocational, and civic experience which qualifies you for this office and why you are running for Dane County Circuit Court Judge.
Well, thank you, Miriam. Thank you for having me here today, and thank you to the League. I'm running for Dane County Circuit Court Judge because I care deeply about fairness and equal justice in our courts. I want to put my unique combination of legal and judicial experience to work to help reduce racial disparities, to increase access to justice, to improve our courts, so that justice for all is a reality as well as a promise. I've been elected 3 times as municipal court judge. I am a judge. I've overseen and decided more than 3,000 cases. I've overseen trials, I've issued written decisions, I've managed a courtroom. I understand the challenges people face because I see the diverse people in my courtroom. In addition, I was raised on a farm in northern Wisconsin, one of 8 children. My mother was a first-generation American. My parents were raised during the Great Depression, and neither of them graduated from high school. They taught all 8 of their children the importance of hard work, education, perseverance, and giving back to the community. In addition, as a lawyer for over 35 years, handling civil rights and employment cases, I've represented people who otherwise would not have had an attorney. I've obtained justice for people who have been discriminated against. My experience as a judge, as a lawyer, my early years growing up as one of 8 children, gives me experience to be a Dane County Circuit Court Judge, the values and the insights necessary. Thank you.
What do you believe are 1 or 2 personal qualities you have that will be assets to your role as a circuit court judge?
Well, I think as I mentioned earlier, my appreciation for the challenges people face started early. I came from a family of 8. Our income was very meager, and I appreciate how challenging it is when you are facing poverty. In addition, my early life, I think, drew me into the type of work I've done as a lawyer for over 35 years. Many of the people I represent would not have been able to have an attorney if I had not represented them. And I bring all this experience to the municipal court bench, where I have been elected 3 times, and I'm the only candidate in this race who is a judge. And that experience will enable me to hit the ground running on day 1 as a Dane County Circuit Court Judge.
What do you believe is the most urgent issue you will need to address in the administration of justice as a Dane County Circuit Court Judge?
Racial disparities in the criminal justice system in Dane County are among the worst in the nation. We need to address that. I'm a strong proponent of initiatives that are currently going on to help reduce racial disparity, and I will participate in them and support them as a judge. But already, as a municipal court judge, I do what I can to address racial disparities. When defendants come before me, where appropriate, I will postpone sentencing and permit them to take drug and alcohol assessment and treatment, or offer them community service as an alternative to a conviction. These are important steps to keep individuals out of the court to prison pipeline.
In the arena of criminal law, which is the current caseload of this branch, how do you see yourself dealing with the constant issue of working to balance the rights of the accused and the rights of the victims?
Well, Thank you for that question. It is important to balance the rights of the victim and the rights of the accused. The accused has certain constitutional rights to a fair hearing, to be heard, to not receive prejudicial evidence. You balance all these things. At the same time, the victims have rights. And I would make sure I listen to both sides carefully and deliberately, listen to the counsel, listen to the victim statements, and then make a decision. That is what I do now as a judge in municipal court. I listen to both sides, I review the law, and I apply it fairly and equally, but with the compassion that I think the voters have the right to expect from any judge.
What do you see are important and innovative ideas for programs to help with the overtaxed criminal justice system and to avoid recidivism by offenders?
Well, I think we recognize, not only myself but others, that the mental health issues are a severe problem. And many of the violations of the law I see not only in municipal court but circuit court are prompted by mental health issues. I am in favor of Dane County considering a mental health court, and as a Dane County Circuit Court judge, I would support that and participate in it.
What innovative ideas do you believe could be used to assist you as a judge in managing caseloads, working with unrepresented parties, English as a second language speakers, and other procedural issues in your courtroom?
Well, currently as a municipal court judge, many of the defendants that come before me are unrepresented. And what I know and works effectively is to carefully explain the law, make sure they understand the process, make sure they know that they are fairly considered their points of view, and then make a decision. I know from representing individuals for over 30 years, many of whom it's their first access to the justice system, whether we win or lose, if we get a fair hearing, if we feel that the judge understood us, my clients accept the decision in a way they otherwise wouldn't if they feel they haven't been heard. And in municipal court, currently I use interpreters when appropriate and make sure that people understand what is happening.
How do you see yourself communicating with the community at large as a judge for the entire county and not just for those in your court?
Well, one of the special qualities I bring to my candidacy, including being currently a sitting judge and my judicial experience, is my broad involvement in the community. And that would continue when I assume the bench of the circuit court. I am currently a member of the NAACP Criminal Justice Committee. I have volunteered for several decades at a free clinic, the Unemployment Compensation Clinic. I also volunteered right away for the Veterans Law Clinic, which was established in 2012, and I will continue to be involved in the community because it's important that judges understand they have to work with shareholders throughout the community. The problems we face in the criminal justice system are too challenging to think that one judge can solve them.
Is there one other issue that hasn't been addressed that you believe is important for the voters to consider in this election?
Well, I think your questions have been very good at focusing on key issues. Racial disparities in the criminal justice system here in Dane County are among the worst in the nation. We need to address those with restorative justice courts, with treatment and specialty courts, with efforts to combat implicit bias. We currently have a pilot program testing better ways to determine the amount of bail. And as I said earlier, Mental illness is an issue. 40% of those in our jail have a diagnosable mental illness. Jails are no way to treat mental illness, and that is why I'm an advocate of establishing a mental health court.
What would you like to say to the viewing audience for your closing statement?
Oh, well, thank you very much for the opportunity. And let me say a couple things. Voters in Dane County have a difference in candidates. I would state I am the only candidate for Dane County Circuit Court judge who is a judge. I've overseen and decided more than 3,000 cases. I've presided over trials. I've issued written decisions and managed a courtroom. That is important for two reasons. Number one, it means that I will hit the ground running on day one. And number two, voters can know what kind of judge I will be by what kind of judge I am. I've established a reputation as a fair and impartial judge. Also, I am the only candidate in this race who is voluntarily limiting the amount of contributions to my campaign. That is important because there is too much money in judicial campaigns, and I am doing what I can as a candidate to make a difference. I would say that I am honored to have received the public endorsements of over 675 judges, lawyers, community leaders, including Senator Russ Feingold, 40 judges, including Judge Joanne Kloppenburg, former governors Tony Earl and Marty Schreiber, former Attorney General Peg Lautenschlager, and former Lieutenant Governor Barbara Lawton. My endorsements reflect the deep trust people have in me as the next Circuit Court judge. I thank you for your time, and I would be honored to be the next Dane County Circuit Court judge. I ask for your support and your vote on April 3rd. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to the League today and to speak to your viewers.
I want to thank Marilyn Townsend for speaking with us and the viewing audience for taking the time to know your candidates. As with every election, please vote. On behalf of Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, I thank you for joining us.